Hello, welcome back. Tonight I want to talk about two of the most important assets to a successful relationship, whether it be professional or personal. And those are two factors that come from you, and that is vulnerability and authenticity. And I know at first blush, because when I was first learning about this many years ago, I was literally like, what the hell? I don't want to show my vulnerability. I was very comfortable with the mask that I wore. I was badass. I was able to articulate well at work. In my relationships, I was able to navigate very well without really showing how vulnerable that I was, because let's face it, being vulnerable is extraordinarily uncomfortable. Right? Everyone agreeing so far? So what is it about vulnerability and being truly authentic that literally is the secrets? It's the secret sauce of relationships, right? So I want to actually define what these terms are, because there's so many different ways of looking at just vulnerability alone. So let's just look what vulnerable is. So Brene Brown, I just want to reference, she has done amazing work around the power of vulnerability. And if you haven't, I highly recommend looking her up and looking at her work that she's done, because she herself went on a whole journey on how she discovered vulnerability and how it really was kind of leveling work for her. But it was so fascinating how she discovered even vulnerable parts of herself when she did it. So it was awesome research. And I'm going to use her definition with what vulnerable is. So what is vulnerable? It's people who feel worthy and have a strong sense of love and belonging. Which, how many of us on any given day feel 100% vulnerable? I don't every single day. I do some days, but I don't every single day. I mean, that is a solid definition. I'm going to say it one more time. People who feel worthy and have a strong sense of love and belonging. It's just like, bam. That's just unbelievable. It's very powerful. And with that definition with vulnerability, it doesn't have the stigma of anything weak, anything to be ashamed of, anything that would have elicit any emotion of discomfort, like it's uncomfortable, because none of that is uncomfortable. All of that definition is empowering. I belong, I'm loved, I know who I am. And that is intentional vulnerability. And that's the most powerful vulnerability that you can have. And just by definition, you can see why it would be so important to have that level with your partner or at a job, because they can see who you are. You're able to connect with people on such a different level. You can see where I'm going with this, so I don't want to get off track. But society looks at vulnerability in a different way. There's this fear that we're not worthy, and we have a fear of not connecting, and we have a fear that we're not going to be loved. We have a fear of rejection, and that is also vulnerable, and that also is defined as vulnerable. So there are this is a very powerful concept that has two very different definitions that are attached to it. And I love words like that. But with talking about it like this, which is the secret to a successful relationship or being a badass in the boardroom, we're talking about a very intentional vulnerability where you are showing an authenticity to you and being open to connection and showing a little piece of you. So let's also look at authenticity. So in society, ideally, we want to connect, commit, and love wholeheartedly. And according to Brené Brown, she says that you have to have courage in order to live and love like this. That it actually takes courage because, as we've discussed, it is not easy. It is not easy to love. It is not easy to show this level of vulnerability. It is scary. We have to deal with the fact that we could be rejected, that it is uncomfortable, that I'm not ready to show layers of me to people. I am not ready to expose parts of me. I am not ready to be judged. I am not ready to take off my mask and show who I really am. So it takes courage to say, yes, I am ready. And I don't care what they're going to say, because this is who I am. There are rules in the authenticity. The authenticity in and of itself is, this is who I am. I love who I am. I am true to who I am. And I'm good with it. Where you can live life authentically, you are owning your truth. You are living your truth. So imagine what that relationship looks like as a connected, wholehearted, both feet in, loving individual. You're vulnerable in the conscious way. So you are deciding to be all there. No fear, but you're all there. You have the courage to live your truth, and you have the ability to know that you are worthy and you have a strong sense of belonging and that you're worthy of love. Imagine what your relationships with everyone would look like when you can achieve this. That's gold. That's what we're working on. So I challenge you to take this concept of vulnerability and authenticity and to just reflect and see where you're at. How vulnerable are you willing to start going in your relationships? How authentic are you at this point in life? And how much further can you push to become even more authentic? Take some time, do a little journal entry and see where you're at and how far that you are willing to take it to the next level in your relationships. Have a good night.